Good Saturday morning, everybody. This is an unscheduled show, but it's a necessary one. And let me start off with that I'm not looking to attack anybody that may or may not have shared this misinformation. But there seems to be an old story resurfacing itself in regards to a young lady named Katie Johnson, who had accused President Trump many years ago. I think about in 2016 was when this first came out, 15 or 16, somewhere around there, where she accused him of being at an Epstein party and accused him of, RAPE. And it did make it into court, or it almost made it into court. She ended up dropping everything, was found to be a drug addict. It was all debunked. It was a big lie. And now for some reason, it's resurfacing. Well, I think the reason why it's resurfacing, to be honest, was because of what had happened a week ago when President Trump was kind of dismissive towards what happened to the Epstein files, what happened to the Epstein list. And so people are just grabbing at whatever they can to find an answer instead of either critically thinking about why he would all of a sudden respond that way and what would be behind it, and praying about it and having patience and faith that God will give them the answer. And the answers are starting to come out clear. I might not have said it earlier, but James Comey's daughter, who was the prosecution for Diddy and also had control over the Epstein case, has been fired. And thank God. And there's a lot of other moles and bad people that need to be removed from the top tier law enforcement agencies of this country. So she's the beginning of that. I know they're also going after Brennan, who was the head or the top tier in the CIA. So sometimes things don't happen the way we want them to happen. And it's not a good idea to assassinate the character of your president unless you've got absolute proof. But let's talk about Katie Johnson for a moment. So let me just read to you the actual truth about Miss Johnson. Now, new Epstein documents show Donald Trump sexually assaulted and forcibly AR'd a girl. Did this happen? No, it's more fake and gray news. Today's screenshots of a case almost a decade old found itself circulating online again, being presented as new revelations found in the Epstein docs. People are so gullible. By the way, this is by MJ Truth on Twitter X. Line number one, again, nothing new regarding the Epstein has dropped except for a 176-page unsealed document, which detailed that the sex abuse of the young girl was by Epstein himself. Line number two, this screenshot that's being presented as new is from court documents in a lawsuit filed in California in April of 2016. So see, it was 2016. Likely as a hit piece on Trump running for president. So this is nothing new. And I actually have it here, the link, if you're interested in seeing that. Line number three, yes, this was a claim that a woman named Katie Johnson made and later dramatically dropped. Katie Johnson suddenly canceled a packed press conference at which she was set to reveal herself for the first time, saying she was too afraid 2 days later, she dropped the entire thing. The mainstream media immediately speculated that it was because Trump paid her off. The Clinton campaign, they won the election following the allegations. That was what the hope was. It was later revealed that Katie made the entire story up. She didn't know who her R person was until many years later when she was watching The Apprentice. New information emerged that suggested she had not been telling the truth. Ultimately, it was discovered that Donald Trump's name had been inserted into this. He was not involved whatsoever. After that, she had no credibility, and this was by dailymail.co.uk in an article that they did. Oh, and her real name wasn't even Katie Johnson. No one even knows who she is. So the final thoughts that they had was, if they had anything on President Trump, they would have released it by now, but they don't. They keep regurgitating the same damn hoaxes over and over again. It's sick but revealing how scared they are. This is true. I say any person who makes such claims, if proved to be lying, should have to serve the prison sentence the accused would have. Don't you agree? I think that's a little rough. So if you see anyone posting this garbage, reply with this and tell them MJ sent you. MJ. So, and that's just one of many responses on how this story was debunked, dropped, not proven, way back in 2016. This woman was found to be not credible. When dug into her, found that she had, drug addictions, and she was at many Epstein parties. And whether she was a teenager or she was an adult, her accused, the people that she may have had any kind of relations with as a minor, was Epstein and not President Donald Trump. She was probably paid to insert him into this whole story, like many other women have tried and failed. Now, let's just think critically for a second, okay? President Trump, many years ago, before he became president, was approached by the military to be president and to go after this very regime that we're talking about. These elites who have been targeting children, targeting disabled, targeting the elderly, have had their hand massively in trafficking, have poisoned our food, poisoned our water, controlled our weather, has controlled our entertainment, our economy, our education, our government. And I mean, we could go over and over and over this. Some call them globalists. Some call them the elites. They've got many names. The point is that these are the people who President Trump was positioned, and let me remind you, in his 70s, to go after. Why was he positioned? Because the military was a military operation from the very beginning, all the way back to John F. Kennedy. But the military needs a president who's going to sign on the dotted line to help them move forward to go after these people and stop them. And that's what he did, and that's what he agreed to. Now, he wanted to go up against Obama in 2012. The military said, no, not yet. They had him all set up to go forward in 2016, which is what he did. The problem is that the left never expected him to win. They expected to win so that they could put forward their Agenda 2030. But they failed. They had no idea that the military had a plan all along to make sure she never got in. Then thank God, because most of us would be dead if that would have happened. Us, our children, our loved ones would probably not even be here right now if they would have got their way. Now, in knowing all this, and this man has put not only himself and his life on the line, but his family, his children, his reputation. He's not making any money at this either. Why would he go after the very people that he allegedly was at their parties and was participating in the very things he's going after? if you really believe that story and you never really looked into if it was true or not, you're making decisions based on emotion and you're not thinking critically. And this is the problem. The mainstream media, the enemy side wants you to either be in such fear that you make decisions based on desperation or you make decisions based on emotion. And either way, there's no logic. God's wisdom uses logic. When President Trump made that dismissive remark last week, and I'm repeating myself, but sometimes things need to be, they bear repeating. He was obviously playing poker with the enemy, or as John Paul Miller puts it, chess with the devil. And he's not going to show his hand to the enemy at all. Somebody has been in these higher tiers of law enforcement that's been protecting the Epsteins and the Maxwells and the royals and the celebrities and the Diddies of this world. And now we're getting to them. And the only way to expose them is to trap them. And he's setting up the trap. See, people have been so used to having everything handed to them, all information handed to them, whether it's truth or not, that they expect President Trump to do the same. And he told you from the very beginning, first term, we will never tell you what we're going to do and when we're going to do it. And when he said that, he meant the military. If you remember in his first term, when he first started, there was a photo op that he took with a group of people. Nobody recognized them, but it was in the Oval Office, I think. And it was a group of people that were surrounding him. It was one big circle of people. And he said, these are the tops of the military. And then he had said to the press, this is the calm before the storm. And they said, and I think they had asked him, who are these people? What do you mean? What storm? And he goes, you'll find out. That's what we're living with right now, people. That's what's happening. But to just go out and accuse him, where we go one, we go all indeed, just to accuse him and say, oh, well, because he dismissed to the fake news that there's nothing to see here, then he must be involved. And let's go regurgitate some old story of a girl who accused him and, didn't have any proof at all. We've never seen her face. She's never come forward. She's never fought him in court. When she had her chance to come forward, she walked away. And she was proven to be a liar. And now you see this circulating again. Why? Mere accusations? Let me tell you something. If you get comfortable in taking mere accusations and just throwing them out there, that can happen to you. How would you feel if somebody, just out of the blue, accused you of a horrible, heinous crime? And everybody just put it out there on social media and said, well, they're guilty of this crime because they're being accused. How would you feel? Imagine that this is what this man has been going through for the past, 8 years, 9 years? Constantly, him and his family, relentlessly. Why would they be going after him like this? Have you remembered any president that the opposite side, that the other side of the aisle, as they say, has ever gone after their opposition relentlessly like they have gone after him? Why would they do that? Because their names are on the list. Because they are the ones who participated in these horrible, heinous acts against children and young girls. And they figure if they put it out there that Trump was part of it, then that just destroys the whole plan of taking them down. Once again, let me reiterate, this Katie Johnson girl is a liar. She hasn't been proven correct at all in her accusations. There's many articles out there and publications that can prove it. All you got to do is look. That's all you got to do. It's out there. And you're not going to find it on Google. Google works for the enemy. You go to places where you find the truth. So where would you find the truth? Well, you'll find that on Twitter, X. You'll find that on Truth Social. You may or may not be able to find it on TikTok or Facebook. I don't know. They're getting better. But there's so many other platforms out there. Gab, MeWe, BitChute, Rumble. They all have the truth out there. There's no excuse not to be able to find the truth in this day and age because it's out there. But just to take this girl's word for it, that would be the dumbest thing anybody could ever do. Against a man who's put his life, his family, his reputation on the line to save our lives from an enemy that wanted us all dead. And I think that's pretty sad. So I really wanted to get that out today, which is the truth. Very easy to find all of the proof that this girl has been debunked. Her story and her accusations have been debunked. And there's more to come, people, of the truth on everything that we've been waiting for. And that includes E. Carroll, by the way, the one who did accuse and got money out of him. That doesn't mean that she was correct. That just means that the judge that was presiding over that case was probably just as corrupt as E. Carroll. That doesn't mean it's over. Okay? And it doesn't mean the Epstein thing is over either, because President Trump just made an announcement yesterday that they're releasing the grand jury files. That means that, in front of a grand jury, the grand jury gets to see everything, all evidence, for it to even become a case. So now we're going to be able to see even more than we've ever imagined, because we're going to get to see the grand jury files. I'm excited about that. Now, some may go, well, they're going to be really redacted. I don't see that happening. I don't think it's going to be heavily redacted. I think that there'll be names redacted, but I don't think it's going to be so bad that we won't be able to, because then what's the sense of releasing them? They'll probably attempt to try to do that, but I don't think President Trump or Bondi are going to allow it. But everybody, you really have to just see things more with a critical mind and critical thinking from this point on. You have to understand that what's being put out there is mixed with misinformation, either by the enemy to confuse things or on purpose for Trump and his administration to trip up the enemy. But you just can't take a story at face value. You got to kind of look into it and see or even wait maybe a day or two to see what comes out. For example, the Epstein footage that came from the jail. If you remember when that first happened and I came on and talked to you about it, only a minute was missing from that footage. Now 3 minutes are missing. And it's obvious that the footage has been altered. And you got many people, Dr. Steve Turley, which is someone that I shared with you earlier, Matt Walsh, Charlie Kirk, and all these other people who are screaming for the raw footage. Nobody's going to get away with this, people. Nobody. So don't get into that, depression or feeling of being defeated that the enemy is going to win. This is the time where there's exposure and removal, and to be able to expose The enemy's not going to allow us to expose them without a fight. There's going to be a fight, and you have to be ready for the fight. Okay? But this is not fighting. Taking a story from 2016 and bringing it back to life just to make a point when it's already been proven that she lied, that's just assassinating this man's character because you don't have the absolute truth in front of you, and that's not fair. And you wouldn't want that done to you, so I don't think it's a good idea to do it to him. So I figured I need to put this out here, and I need to share this with you. And I have to thank you for joining me. I know this is an unscheduled show. And this is not to, if you see anybody that has put this kind of material up, be kind. Let them know this story has been debunked. This has been found to be a lie. That this woman never came forward, and when she had a chance, she chose not to. And that there is much proof out there to prove that it wasn't Trump that did this, but it was Epstein. There's nothing in the Epstein files that accuses President Trump of anything. Trust me, if there was, the left would have had it out a long, long time ago. So they're coming up with all kinds. Remember, their father is the father of lies. And that's what it says in the word. And so it's in their nature to lie. It's in their nature to lie. So please pray before you say anything or put anything out there. And like I said, if you see any kind of material out there, don't attack the person. Just let them know kindly that this is not true. Anyhow, thank you guys for joining me. This is a short show. I'm only on 22 minutes. Nothing new has come up yet about Micah and Chris. I do have a group of people that I have been working with that seem to be digging into, and I know I've mentioned this in the past before, but it wouldn't hurt to bring it up again. There was a Pastor Nick Elliott, who died a week before Micah. And then a week before him was Reverend Jerry Savelle. And we never really looked into those deaths or the lives of those men. But now I have a group of people who are willing to look into it. And my girl, Kristen, should be back sometime in August. And her and I also will be working on it. So there is more to come. But until that happens, we will be focusing on taking down the big dogs of trafficking and all of this wickedness that we've been fighting for years. So thank you for joining me, guys. This is a short show. If something new comes up, I will be back. But until I see you guys again, please stay safe and God bless.